A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Mathenge. Now on to our first story. President William Ruto earlier today hosted a delegation of grassroots leaders from Turkana. The meeting took place at State House, Nairobi, as Ruto gave promises of development to Turkana County based on different sectors. He also assured the leaders who attended the meeting on the opening of the region through construction of feeder roads and a milestone connection of electricity. As Davis Karani now reports.
President William Ruto was a host of grassroots leaders from Turkana County, where he urged all leaders to rally behind him in development agenda across the nation as he focuses on providing leadership to change the country.
We are going to change this country. Believe you me. Hii inchi tutaibadilisha. We have what it takes as a nation. There is no reason why we cannot catch up with Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea. There is no reason we can catch up with them if we just make the right decisions.
Ruto also promised to improve infrastructure in Turkana County through the connection of electricity and road construction for easy production and transportation of goods across Turkana and other counties.
You remember when I was in Tobonglore, niliwaambia kuhusu mambo ya stima. We have now, the program of connecting the transmission line from Lokichar all the way to Lodwar. It's on course. We are spending 900 million shillings. Already the substation is being done, and we want to complete it by March next year. You should have power in... You should have power from the grid in Lodwar town. Kuna hii barabara kubwa ambaye tumetangaza tayari. Procurement inaendelea from hapo maili 9 to Kitale, from Kitale to Morpus, from Morpus to Kainuk, from Kainuk, Lokichar. We are procuring that road with money from Africa Development Bank.
Being the first proponent of SHA, President Ruto asserted that he will be rallying along all other elected leaders in his forthcoming meeting with governors and parliamentarians to pay SHA to the less fortunate in the society as a way of bringing equality in the country.
I'm going to have a meeting next week with our members of parliament, with governors. CC, I am going to pay for $1.5 million as national government. Mimi nataka governors walipie another maybe 1 million. Hao wabunge, every MP hako na pesa anaweza kulipia wale watu maskini katika constituency yake. So that we can... Tunaelewana, my friends? We must be deliberate. Saa hizi, kuna hospitali tunawatumia pesa kwa kutreat wananchi wanashangaa because they have never seen.
Is this a promise that he will fulfill, or it's a hot air? Davis Karani for GBS News, Nairobi.
To add on to that report, President William Ruto announced a 2.5 billion water pipeline project from Turkwal to Lokichar oil fields. The pipeline, expected to irrigate between 50,000 and 100,000 acres of land, is designed to replicate the success story of Galana in Turkana. The president stated that the project will enhance food security, generate employment opportunities, and facilitate oil exploration activities in the region. He emphasized that transforming Turkana through irrigation is part of the government's broader agenda of harnessing natural resources for development. Leaders present welcomed the initiative, terming it as a major step towards improving livelihoods.
Putting money to bring water, because we cannot get that oil out without water. We need that water from Turkwell. Hiyo maji ni mzuri. Hata kama hatutatumia kwa oil, tutatumia kwa maji ingine, irrigation na nini na nini na nini. So there is no problem. Na mimi napatia watu wa jeshi 2.5 billion watengeneze hiyo, walete mfereji. Wapeleke kwa mashamba hapo Turkwell na wasukume ingine mpaka Lokichar. Mewaeleza kuhusu mambo ya food security. Si ndio? Tuko na all the other irrigation programs that are going on. Tuko na maji mingi hapo Takwel. Inatuletea hasara huko nyuma. The lake is growing. Yet we don't have water. Ya irrigation na ya nini. So we can do between 50 and 100,000 acres between Turkana and West Pokot kutumia hiyo maji. We are committing 2.5 billion shillings kutoa maji Takwel, tupeleke Lokichar, na hapa katikati yote tuone vile mtakunywa maji, na vile vile tutafanya irrigation ya Takwel hapo. What we are doing in Galana, we want to do hapa Takwel. Hapa Takwel tunaweza kuzalisha mahindi, tunaweza kuzalisha mchele, tunaweza.
Now shifting the focus to the corridors of justice, Bomet Governor Hilary Bachok has been dragged to court facing graft-related charges, including conflict of interest and money laundering. The county boss is accused of pocketing millions of shillings from questionable contracts awarded by his own government. Let's take a listen. Bomet Governor Hilary Bachok today denied 7 criminal counts, including conflict of interest and money laundering, when he appeared before the Milimani Anti-Corruption Court. The county boss irregularly benefited from contracts awarded to Chemasas Construction Limited, pocketing about 2 million shillings. The tenders under scrutiny include the maintenance of the Kimenderit Kotobek Olbutio Bridge Road and the hire of a grader.
Count number 7, 11, Bachok, Evans Victoria Shobri, Chemasas Construction Limited, as read with offense of money laundering under Section 3B1, as read with Section 16 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, 2009, particulars are on and about the 10th of March 2021 within the Republic of Kenya and the Governor of the County Government of Bomet and Director of Chemasas Construction Limited and the Limited Liability Company, respectively, was known that 2 million shillings from proceeds of crime entered in an agreement to convert the said sum of money from Chemasas Construction Limited Equity Bank account number 1220277456887 into the Equity Bank account number 122028064513 in the name of Hilary Neno Bachok, whose effect was to control the source of the said money.
The governor is further accused of laundering the funds through multiple transfers ranging from 100,000 to 750,000 shillings, allegedly aimed at concealing the source of the money.
Number 3, Hilary Neno Bachok, they are charged with the offense of use of proceeds of crime subject to Section 40, as read with Section 15 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, 9B, particulars are on or about 15th March 2021 within the Republic of Kenya. You transferred a sum of 300,000 shillings from your Equity Bank account number 1220280645130 to your Equity Bank account number 02101979391281, and having reason to believe that the said monies form proceeds of crime with monies received irregularly from a contractor of the county government of Bomet.
Also charged are Evans Kipkoech Korir, a director of Chemasas Construction Limited, and the company itself. All pleaded not guilty before trial magistrate Zipporah Gichana. In her ruling, Magistrate Gichana granted Governor Bachok a bond of 15 million shillings or an alternative cash bail of 5 million shillings. His co-accused were each released on a bond of 5 million shillings or cash bail of 2 million shillings. The magistrate noted that while prosecution had not opposed bail, the charges were serious and warranted strict terms. Among the conditions set, the accused must surrender their passport within 7 days, cannot leave the country without court approval, and must not contact or interfere with witnesses either directly or through proxies. They are also barred from making any public commentary on the case. The court warned that breaching the terms would attract legal consequences, including possible cancellation of bail. The case will be mentioned again on September 17, 2025 for further direction. Moving forward, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has defended the government's commitment to the creative sector, saying recent engagement with artists, content creators, and musicians in Embu County are proof that promises are being kept. Amid growing public skepticism, Kindiki insists that the administration is not just talking but delivering on its pledges to support youth and culture through tangible programs. Ibrahim Said has more on that story.
The government's promise to invest in Kenya's creative economy, agriculture and youth employment was a key pillar of President William Ruto's campaign. Since taking office, the administration has rolled out targeted programs, including subsidized farm input and digital training for content creators, aimed at expanding opportunities at the grassroots level.
Fire, si fire. Inoma, si noma. Imbwekse, si imbwekse.
Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki says those promises are being fulfilled. Speaking during an engagement with artists, content creators and musicians in Embu County, Kindiki defended the government's record, citing progress in infrastructure, access to financing, and direct support for the creative sector. He also called on critics to offer practical solutions, not just political noise.
And I want to assure you where we are today is not where we were in 2022 when President Ruto took over. We made some progress. It may not be as fast as we wanted, but definitely we've made some progress. We have employed, in 3 years up to now, 76,000 teachers. Unajua watu wanashindana na sisi, wako chini sana. They are very low. They are too low. Sisi tumejipanga vizuri because we know Kenya has moved on. We have an informed population. The claims we are making must be based by evidence. And so the people competing with us must come with their agenda for creating jobs. We will table ours, then they table their agenda. Then you look, examine, alafu uone wale wanakaa kama wako na network, wale wengine waambiwa wangoje ama namna gani.
Deputy President says the government will continue investing in sectors that drive inclusive growth. He emphasized that lasting change requires collaboration and urged stakeholders to work with the administration in shaping policies that reflect need of ordinary Kenyans. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Said.
Deputy Council Party leader Rigathi Gachagua today unveiled Simon Senares as the party's official candidate for Purko Ward in Kajiado County, pledging a united front ahead of the upcoming by-election. Speaking at a campaign launch in Purko, Gachagua says the nomination reflects the party's commitment to grassroots leadership and development priorities. Here are the details.
During DCP's unveiling of Purko MCA flag bearer, supporters and local leaders gathered to endorse Senares' candidacy. Gachagua highlighted the party's achievements, including infrastructure development and youth empowerment programs, while urging voters to rally behind Senares. Party officials said the decision followed consultations with ward representatives and community elders, aimed at presenting a strong candidate for the seat.
Bwana Simon Sanare Saidimu ndio atapeperusha bendera yetu ya chama cha na ya kwamba kulikuwa na candidate wawili ambaye wameketi na wazee pale katika Purko Ward kufuatilia na kufuatana na mila na desturi za Wamaa ya kwamba ni mzuri wazee kuongea, na mimi nataka nishukuru wazee katika ward hiyo. Wakasema hao wote watoto ni wetu, ni wa chama moja, ni wa boma moja, wanapendana na hakuna haja waende kupigana, na ikakubalika wazee wakiwepo ya kwamba Bwana Sanare ndio akuwe candidate wetu.
Purko Ward has been a political hotspot, with recent contest drawing significant attention from county leaders. The by-election was triggered after the previous ward representative vacated the seat earlier this year, creating an opportunity for parties to strengthen their influence in Kajiado. Analysts noted that the DCP's choice of a locally rooted candidate reflects its strategy to consolidate regional support.
Na leo tumeweza kutembea kwa party leader Rigiji, tukisema kwamba chama ni DCP, na nitawahakikishia Wakenya na niwahakikishia watu wa Kajiado pia na watu wa Purko, kiti itakuja kwa chama ya DCP, na kwa neema ya Mungu kiti itakuja pande hii. Kwa hivyo ya leo sitasema mengi, nimesema tu shukrani sana Rigiji.
Thank you.
Tuko na upendo na wewe, tutabaki na wewe hadi watu wengine wale wakora waende nyumbani.
Sanare is expected to begin an intense door-to-door campaign this week, focusing on education, agriculture, and water access. The by-election is scheduled for later this year, and political observers predict a competitive race as rival parties prepare to unveil their own candidates. Molin Rono for GBS News.
Now moving on to education. CS scholars and community leaders are challenging Governor James Orengo to clarify reports of an impending closure and relocation of the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, CS Town campus. They say the move threatens to undermine years of investment and cripple the town's economy. Here are the details.
The concerns were voiced during a press briefing led by Professor Paul Wao Achola, alongside former Siaya Mayor Julius Agutu Ochiam and former Councillor Owino Tamre. The leaders criticized the county government's decision to reallocate land at the Siaya Agricultural Training Center, where the campus is based, for the construction of a new county headquarters. They argued that the move disregarded earlier plans to develop the campus into a fully fledged President Obama University after mentorship by Jews.
The reason why I felt that let's come and talk about this one and let the public know is because I personally have been part of this process of getting a university in the county headquarters. From the founding of the county, 2013, the first governor appointed a committee of 10 people, most of them scholars, from Jaramogi, from Maseno, from other places, and also people in the Ministry of Education. So there was a committee of 10 people who started the process. The idea was that when you have a county headquarters such as Siaya, a university is important because a university is an industry. That was seen. Then, apart from being industry, there was a rationale why we should have a university in the county. Because we have a lot of our youth who cannot afford to go and get education far away.
Tamre, who chaired the Land Transition Committee during the shift from local authorities to county governments, said an alternative parcel had already been set aside for county offices. Ochiam accused the county leaders of muzzling Siaya's economy, while Alego Osonga MP Samuel Atandi urged Orengo to prioritize the university's growth over political interests. Atandi said attempts to negotiate land retention with the governor had failed, warning that the decision will stifle Siaya's development projects.
There seems to be some dynamics within there where we are getting signals that the School of Agriculture in fact wants to displace the ATC, Agricultural Training College. So we had said, and the memorandum of understanding was very clear that if the university is being mentored, ATC will be a department or an institute within the university to deal with mechanization and extension services. They were not to be displaced. They were to be incorporated and embraced. That was very clear there. But the behavior of the university college bond team, it was like the ATC should get out of there, which was a surprise. But now there was a vacuum because there was a new government, in Ichaya, under Governor Orengo. And so there was now a committee representing the county within that one.
Community leaders and elected officials are expected to lobby national authorities to intervene and safeguard the university's future in Siaya town. Public forums and petitions are also planned in the coming weeks as residents push for a solution that secures both higher education access and economic growth in the region. Molin Rono for GBS News.
And with that report, we take a very short break. Keep your feedback streaming into social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
My name is Aurelia Chama. I'm 8 years old. I'm a grade 4 student at Waridi Utawala School. When I grow up, I like to be a supermodel, a doctor, a dermatologist, so that I can advise little children to deal better with their skin problems.
When was the first time ulianza sasa when was the first time you got your first title? Do you prefer painting, drawing, or playing outside?
Drawing.
Drawing. Oh, you also like to draw?
Dear future Aurelie, I'm advising you that to do better on your exams, to care for people, to care about yourself, and do good things. And if you have an opportunity, do it. Any opportunity, even if it's from modeling, dancing, singing, anything.
For today's topic, we are going to be talking about tranquility in diversity, celebrating Africa through youth expressions.
We have to understand that our parents are from a different generation from ours.
For sure.
And so there are things that they might not understand. So what the girl should do, just like Amelie Samesema, just make sure miusema kichwa ngumu polite. I don't know if there is a word, kichwa ngumu polite.
When I started modeling, my mom was against it. Kabisa, like she never wanted to hear anything about modeling. She used to tell me, you're supposed to concentrate in school. So every time I used to go for a modeling event, my mom would call me and quarrel me. So most of the times I used to hide. I used to go to events secretly. So when Miss Tranquility happened, they posted the event. It was online. And I think she saw on television, Amelis Nyongesa crowned Miss Tranquility.
That is my daughter. That is my daughter.
Yeah. So my mom called me and told me, why didn't you tell me you're going for the event? I told her, how could I even open up and tell you I'm going for the event, because she was so against it.
Africans, we are great. We do a lot of things, but we are not credited.
As a model, like you can't crown a beauty queen without brains. Like they say, beauty with brains.
As a model, you shouldn't be losing your heritage just because of what you watch on YouTube or what you see on TikTok or on Instagram. Keep once a model, okay, mi usema once an artist, hii kitu ita sound fiti na Kiswahili. Manze once a msanii, always a msanii.
I think there's a lot we don't know out here about this industry, but that's why we're here anyway.
Yeah.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now on to the international news. A tragic accident in Haiti has left at least 2 people dead and 8 Kenyan police officers injured. It happened on Sunday evening alongside the Ken Copetian Ville route just outside the capital, Port-au-Prince. Officials say an armored vehicle towing a disabled one broke down, causing the crash. One of the dead was a Kenyan officer serving in the UN-backed mission to fight gangs. The other was a civilian. 3 of them, injured officers, are in serious condition and were airlifted to the Dominican Republic for treatment. This incident brings the number of Kenyan officers killed in Haiti to 3 since the mission began over a year ago. 1 killed in a gang attack and another remains missing and is presumed dead. The mission continues amid ongoing violence and instability in the country. Let's take a listen. And now shifting the focus to what's currently happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's back to school season, but in Goma, a city of over 2 million people, war is looming. Under the control of the M23 rebels, the city is suffocating, putting children's education at risk. The atmosphere in the Goma market is far from festive, and this situation is affecting preparation for the new school year, as Davis Karani now reports.
4 months now, the M23 rebels have controlled the city of Goma and its surroundings, strangling the locals' economy. Goods pile up, but buyers are scarce. This situation is affecting preparations for the new school year.
Since the war began, there's no work and we can't sell. In previous years at this time, I would have sold products worth 100,000 francs, but now I've only sold 10,000 francs. We don't know if the children will study or not, since there's hardly any movement in notebook sales. The customers aren't here. It's likely children will reuse their old uniforms, but for notebooks, resources are insufficient.
In Goma as in Bukavu, parents struggle to find essential for the new school year. Prices for the school supplies have skyrocketed, a direct consequence of the conflict. Notebooks, uniforms, backpads, everything has become out of reach. Victims of inflation and shortage are in this city.
We're making efforts, but with the situation in the city, the war, we face difficulties paying for basic items. We keep trying, but honestly, the situation is very bad.
For many families, school is a broken dream. The exorbitant costs, combined with a crippled economy, have turned education into an inaccessible commodity.
I have 4 children, but I lack notebooks and backpacks. I spent $50, and you should see how I managed that. It's possible the children will study, but life is too hard.
Violence is threatening the education of thousands of children in Goma and across eastern DRC. The future of schooling seems held hostage by the conflict. Yet, despite the obstacles and uncertainty, thousands of children continue to hope for a better future, a future that war threatens to steal from them. Davis Karani for GBS News, DR Congo.
Now shifting the focus again to what's currently happening in Sudan's Darfur region, as fighting is intensifying as the paramilitary rapid support forces continue their long-year siege on El Fasher, the last major city in the region still under army control. At least 19 people were killed in recent strikes, including 12 in a drone attack in a clinic in South Darfur and 7 more in bombings blamed on the RSF. The humanitarian situation is worsening rapidly. Around 260,000 civilians, including 130,000 children, are trapped in El Fasher's main displacement camp. The UN warns that 6,000 children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition, with 8 blockmen going fighting. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate ceasefire, condemning what he described as the RSF relentless attacks. He warned that continued violence could push the city into a full-scale catastrophe. United Kingdom Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is outlining sweeping reforms in London today aimed at tightening asylum rules and halting illegal migration. She is announcing a temporary suspension of new refugees' family reunion application and implementing immediate return of small boat arrivals to France and a new bilateral deal. Here are the details.
Migrants arriving via small boat.
The UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said the government had looked at an asylum system, terming it as chaotic, as gangs with small boats drive migrants from the French coast, soaring backlogs, and widespread illegal walking. She revealed that she signed a new treaty with France a month ago, enabling the return of arrivals directly from Dover, which are scheduled to start later this month. She also announced a halt to new refugee family reunion applications, citing misuse by smuggling networks, forcing applicants to be subjected to stricter rules, including income thresholds before new rules are introduced next season.
We've increased raids and arrests on illegal working by 50%, and we cut the annual hotel bill by almost £1 billion in the last financial year. We are rolling out digital ID and biometric kits so immigration enforcement can check on the spot whether someone has a right to work or a right to be in the UK. And on channel crossings and organised immigration crime, we are putting in place new powers, new structures and new international agreements to help dismantle the criminal industry behind the boats. So I want to update the House on the further steps we're now taking. In August, I signed the new treaty with France, allowing us for the first time to directly return those who arrive on small boats. The first detentions took place the next day of people immediately on arrival in Dover, and we expect the first returns to begin later this month.
The suspension responds to growing public frustration with the number of asylum seekers housed in hotels. In recent months, the number of small boats crossing has surged, increasing pressure on the system. Refugee charities have voiced strong opposition, and Red Cross warned that suspending family reunification will push more desperate people into the arms of smugglers, disproportionately affecting women and children.
But the principles it embodies are crucial, because no one should be making these dangerous or illegal journeys on small boats, and if they do, we want to see them swiftly returned. But in return, we believe in doing our bit alongside other countries to help those who have fled persecution through managed and controlled legal programmes. This summer, we've also taken further action to strengthen enforcement against the smuggling gangs. France has reviewed its maritime approach to allow for the interception of taxi boats in French waters, and we will continue to work with them to implement this change as soon as possible.
The Home Office will bring forward tougher immigration rules, and comprehensive reforms to family reunion will be rolled out by next season. An independent appeals body is being created to streamline asylum processing and reduce wait times. Under the UK-France deal, returns of small boat arrivals are set to begin later this month, signaling a shift to more robust border enforcement. Moilin Rono for GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back with more international news.
Hello kids, and welcome to Kids Mind, where we learn, we laugh, and we explore. Today we are going to be reading about what? Yes! Vibe.
Are you in marriage? Are you married? Is your marriage unhappy? What are the things that you're going through and you really want them being answered?
I'm a relationship coach and a marriage counselor, And I'm so passionate about helping people, individuals and couples.
When you're having these people, these different people and personality, and maybe they are a couple, of whereby if you don't solve now, don't come to ask me later. And I'm in the school of thought of, we cannot talk about it now, I have to cool down and then you can discuss it later. How do you strike a balance and be able to communicate peacefully and resolve our issue by the end of the day?
That's where I drive or I pick the models of marriage from the Bible stories. So that marriage model is about business and security. And even today, people are marrying because of business.
So how am I even marrying for happiness? Are we supposed even to call it for happiness, or is it because of lust and pleasures of the world?
So I'm going to search for a person who has money. I want big vehicle. I want a big house. So what do you call that? It's you're marrying because of business. The Adam's model and the Jacob's model is the best.
What is it exactly are we looking for in the last model?
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now to more international news. Brazil's Supreme Court is set to deliver its verdict in the explosive coup plotting trial of former President Bolsonaro. The case has not only gripped the nation, but has also rattled international politics after U.S. President Donald Trump came out strongly in Bolsonaro's defense, branding the proceedings a witch hunt. In a dramatic twist, Trump announced sweeping 50% tariffs on key Brazilian goods, escalating tensions between Washington and Brazil. The world is watching closely as Brazil weighs the fate of its former leader. The outcome could reshape both its democracy and global standing.
Inácio Lula da Silva. Had it succeeded, it would have been Brazil's first coup since 1964, which marked the beginning of a decade-long dictatorship that many here still remember.
This is the very first time in Brazil where very high-ranked military officers can be imprisoned as well as the former president Jair Bolsonaro.
In January 8, 2023, Bolsonaro supporters stormed the Supreme Court, Congress and Presidential Palace, calling the military, who had taken office just a week earlier. Although Bolsonaro was in the United States at the time, critics say he had long been undermining Brazil's democracy. He repeatedly made unfounded claims that the voting system was easily reached and held meetings with top military leaders to discuss constitutional options to remain in power if he lost the 2022 elections. According to the federal police, the coup only failed because the Army and Air Force commanders refused to support it. Now Bolsonaro is on trial alongside his Navy commander, 4 other military officials, a congressman, and a former justice minister. The former president is facing 5 criminal charges, including participating in an armed criminal organization and violent attempt to overthrow Brazil's 40-year-old democracy. He denies all the accusations. U.S. President Donald Trump has not only shown a strong interest in the trial, but he has openly sided with Bolsonaro, his political ally and a longtime admirer. In July, Trump imposed 50% tariffs on Brazilian imports, calling the trial a witch hunt and demanding that it be stopped immediately. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul M. Minor.
And now to what's happening in the Middle East. A powerful earthquake has struck eastern Afghanistan, leaving widespread devastation in its wake. At least 800 people are confirmed dead, with thousands more injured after the 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit late Sunday night near the city of Jalalabad. The hardest hit area is Kunar province, where rescue teams and villagers are now racing against time to find survivors buried beneath the rubble. Here's more on this developing tragedy.
A devastating 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Afghanistan, killing at least 800 people and injuring more than 2,500. The quake hit near Jalalabad, with the hardest impact felt in Kunar province, where entire villages were reduced to rubble. Homes made of mud, bricks and wood collapsed instantly, trapping families beneath the debris. Survivors with no heavy machinery used their hands to dig through the wreckage, desperate to find missing loved ones.
Last night, an earthquake happened in this area. I lost 7 of my family's children, including 5 girls and 2 boys. And 3 of my cousins were martyred too, and 1 uncle as well as some of my other relatives. In short, our village has 200 to 250 casualties.
Currently, 4 or 5 helicopters have carried the injured, and the evacuation is still ongoing. This is a major disaster. Many houses have been destroyed, and a lot of support is needed to rescue people from under the rubble.
The shallow depth of the quake, just 8 kilometers, made the destruction even worse. With several aftershocks and limited access to remote areas, rescue efforts remain difficult.
Rescue work is underway in various areas, and we have some areas where rescue teams have not reached yet due to difficult terrain. We have reached them via helicopter, but not by road, because it's very difficult.
The full scale of the disaster is still unfolding as Afghanistan faces yet another humanitarian crisis. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
We'll keep him updated on that tragedy as it develops. And now shift the focus to what's happening in Indonesia, where violent protests continue to sweep across the country, despite President Prabowo Subianto's announcement to revoke lawmakers' controversial benefits. The move, aimed at calming public outrage, has done little to ease tension. Demonstrators remain on the street for a second week, demanding a broader reforms and accountability. At least 6 people have been killed and over 1,200 arrested since the unrest began. Ibrahim Saeed has more on that story.
The protest in Indonesia began last week after public outrage over lawmakers' proposed benefits, including a housing allowance seen by many as excessive. The announcement sparked demonstration in major cities, with citizens demanding accountability and rollback of what they called unfair privileges.
It's normal for the public to be angry because essentially there have been too many violations committed by the state. So many things done by the state, I would say, do not accommodate the people's aspirations, so they end up angry.
The biggest reform we need for Parliament is for them to work for the people rather than for the party leaders or the parties themselves. That's what reform really means. No matter who you are, it doesn't matter. As long as you only work for your party, you're not working for the people.
Despite President Prabowo Subianto's decision to revoke the allowance and suspend overseas trips for members of parliament, the unrest has continued. Protesters say the move is not enough, calling for broader reform and greater transparency. Police report more than 1,200 arrests since the demonstration began, and several deaths have been confirmed.
Terhadap beberapa kebijakan di DPR RI, tadi saya sudah sampaikan besaran tunjangan kepada anggota DPR dan moratorium kunjungan kerja luar negeri sudah segera mereka tindak lanjuti.
Authorities are now bracing for further protests in the days ahead as civil society groups organize new rallies. While the government maintains that it is listening to public concerns, many Indonesians say they want lasting change, not just policy reversal, but a shift in how decisions are made and who benefits from them. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Saeed.
Now shifting the focus to the United States. As the Labor Day holidays get underway, tens of thousands of protesters have gathered at rallies across the country to call for stronger worker protections and attack a range of policies undertaken by the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump. More than 1,000 demonstrations came to the streets on Monday to span all 50 states under the banner Workers Over Billionaires. Protesters are demanding stronger worker protection, fully funded schools, healthcare, and housing for all, and an end to corporate corruption, attacks on marginalized communities, and federal overreach under the Trump administration. In New York, hundreds of people gathered outside the Trump Tower, chanting for Trump to step down and calling the president a fascist. As a brass band played, workers held up signs demanding a living wage and universal health care.
No militarized force in the city of Chicago. We're going to defend our democracy in the city of Chicago. We're going to protect the humanity of every single person in the city of Chicago.
I think Trump is turning ICE and the National Guard into his private militia. He wants to take over physically, and we have to stop it. And we have to use any tool we can.
In Chicago, we reject a billionaire's tyranny on our city. We reject a billionaire and his cabinet of billionaires who take from Medicaid, who defund public education.
I think our money should be moved from war back down to our communities where the money came from in the first place.
And with that, you have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time, same channel. My name is Susan Nganga, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Mathenge. Have a good night.